Welcome back to the Postcard English Stories, where we make language learning simple, enjoyable, and real. I'm your host, Paul, and today we're diving into a topic that every learner faces at some point: the big gap between understanding English and actually speaking it. Let's be honest. Have you ever felt this before? You can read English texts, watch Netflix shows, listen to songs, and even understand podcasts like this one. But when it's your turn to speak, suddenly your mind goes blank. The words are hiding. Your mouth freezes. You know what you want to say, but you just can't say it. This is a very common experience, and it's completely normal. In fact, it's one of the biggest challenges in language learning. But don't worry. Today, we're going to break this down, understand why it happens, and most importantly, explore how to overcome it. Why understanding and speaking are different skills. Let's think about it like this. Imagine you want to learn to play the piano. You can listen to piano music all day. You can understand the rhythm, feel the emotion, even recognize different songs. But that doesn't mean you can sit down and play them yourself, right? Speaking English is the same. Listening and reading are input skills. You receive the language, your brain is observing, collecting data. But speaking is output. You have to produce the language. That takes more effort. Your brain needs to find the right words, build the sentence, use correct grammar, say it clearly, all in real time. This is a complex process, especially when you're still learning. That's why many learners feel stuck. Not because they're bad at English, but because they haven't trained the right skills yet. The speaking wall, I like to call this experience, hitting the speaking wall. You're walking along the path of English learning, enjoying the journey. You're understanding more every day. Then suddenly, boom, you hit a wall. That wall is speaking. You can't climb over it with just passive skills. You need to develop active speaking habits. That's how you break through. Why? You can understand but not speak. There are a few reasons for this. Speaking is active, not passive. You can understand a lot by watching and listening, but speaking needs you to perform. It's like the difference between watching someone dance and dancing yourself. No real speaking practice. Many learners study grammar, do exercises, and watch videos, but they don't use English out loud. Without speaking practice, your brain never builds those speaking muscles. Fear of mistakes. Even when you can speak, fear holds you back. You worry about sounding wrong, looking silly, or being judged, so you stay quiet. That stops your progress. Thinking in your native language. Many learners think in their first language, then try to translate. This causes delay, confusion, and stress. How to break the wall. So what can you do? The first step is simple but powerful. Start speaking. Not perfectly, not fast. Just speak. Here are a few ideas. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing at home. I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm making tea. Record yourself saying simple sentences every day. Practice language shadowing. We'll talk more about that in another episode. Don't worry about making mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. In fact, they help you grow faster. Use small, everyday expressions. Master phrases like "How are you?" "I don't know," or "Can you help me?" And use them often. Find a language partner or join a speaking group online. Real conversation is the best practice. Final thoughts. Understanding English is a wonderful achievement. And you should be proud of that. But don't stop there. If you want to speak confidently, you need to practice using your voice. Remember, your mouth is a muscle. The more you speak, the stronger it gets. Don't wait until you're ready. Don't wait until your grammar is perfect. Start speaking now. Even if it's just one sentence a day, you're not alone on this journey. Every fluent speaker you admire once felt nervous, slow, or scared to speak, but they kept going, and so can you. So now that we've talked about the difference between understanding and speaking English, and why speaking can feel like hitting a wall, let's go a step deeper. Let's talk about something that might be secretly holding you back. Translating everything in your head. Have you ever caught yourself doing this? You think of something you want to say, but in your native language first. Then you pause. Try to find the English words. Build a sentence in your mind. And by the time you're ready to speak, the conversation has already moved on. It's frustrating, right? And it happens to almost every language learner at some point. But the good news is, you can train your brain to stop translating. You can learn to think directly in English. And when you do, something magical happens. You start to speak more naturally, more confidently, and with less effort. Let's break it down. Why translating slows you down? Translating might feel like a safe strategy at first. It gives you control. But in real conversations, it creates many problems. It's slow. Your brain becomes a middleman, always flipping between two languages. It's stressful. You worry about grammar, vocabulary, and sounding correct, all at the same time. It sounds unnatural. Different languages use different sentence structures. Direct translation often leads to awkward English. And worst of all, it becomes a habit, a hard one to break. So what's the solution? You need to stop thinking of English as a code to be translated and start seeing it as a language you live in, even for just a few minutes a day. What it means to think in English now, let's be realistic. Thinking in English doesn't mean you'll wake up tomorrow and have deep thoughts about philosophy in perfect English. That's not the goal, especially at B1 level. What it really means is your first reaction is in English. You use simple words and expressions without translating. You form direct connections between English words and meaning, not through your native language. For example, when you see the word apple, you don't think of the word in your first language. You just see the apple in your mind. That's how children learn. That's how fluency builds. How to start thinking in English, even at B1 level. Here's the truth. Anyone can start doing this. Even if you only know 100 words in English, you can still start thinking in English. Let me show you how. Start small. Use one-word thoughts. Look around you. What do you see? Say the names in English, in your mind or out loud. Chair, window, phone, coffee, shoes. These tiny thoughts are building blocks. You're rewiring your brain to respond in English. Narrate your actions. As you go through your day, speak to yourself in English. I'm making tea. I need to charge my phone. It's raining again. This turns daily life into English practice. You don't need grammar books. Just live in English for a few minutes. Use English moments. Every day, pick one routine where you'll only use English. For example, while brushing your teeth, while cooking breakfast, during your morning walk. During that time, try to think only in English. Even if it's just simple phrases. It might feel strange at first. That's okay. With time, it becomes automatic. Practice common phrases. until they're instant. Learn a set of useful, everyday phrases and repeat them often until they live in your mouth. I'm not sure. Can you help me? Let me think. What do you mean? These phrases are the oil that helps your conversation engine run smoothly. The more naturally they come out, the less your brain needs to stop and translate. Change how you study vocabulary. Instead of writing dog ha concho, write dog hawks, draw a dog, or use a picture. This connects English to meaning, not your first language. Better yet, make mini flashcards or use apps like Anki or Quizlet with pictures. This is called visual vocabulary, and it helps you think in English faster. Final thought. It's a process, not perfection. You won't be perfect. You'll forget words, you'll get stuck. That's okay. The goal isn't to think in English all the time. The goal is to practice doing it a little more every day. Start with one word, then one phrase, then one thought. Bit by bit, your brain will stop translating and start communicating. So next time you catch yourself translating in your head, smile and say, "It's okay, but now let's try thinking in English instead." Your future self, the confident, fluent English speaker, will thank you. So, we've talked about the wall between understanding and speaking. Then we explored how to stop translating in your head and start thinking in English. Now let's talk about the next big challenge. That little voice in your head that says, "What if I say it wrong? What if people laugh at me? What if I make a mistake?" Sound familiar? That voice is called fear of making mistakes. And for many learners, it's the biggest thing holding them back from becoming confident English speakers. Today, we're going to talk honestly about this fear, why it happens, why it's normal, and, most importantly, how to overcome it. Why we're afraid to make mistakes. Let's get real for a second. Speaking another language is vulnerable. You feel exposed, like a child learning to talk again. Your accent might be different. Your grammar might not be perfect. And yes, sometimes you'll say something strange or funny by accident. But guess what? That's okay. It happens to everyone. Even native speakers make mistakes. They forget words, mispronounce things, or use the wrong expression. The problem is, as learners, we often expect ourselves to be perfect, especially when we speak. But that's not how learning works. Learning is messy. It's full of experiments, errors, and awkward moments. The truth about mistakes. Here's the truth. Every mistake you make is a step forward. When you forget a word, you're stretching your memory. When you use the wrong tense, your brain is testing grammar patterns. When you mispronounce a word, you're training your tongue and ears. Mistakes aren't signs of failure. They're proof that you're trying. So instead of feeling ashamed of your mistakes, start welcoming them. Say, "Oops, that was wrong. Great. Now I've learned something new." What really happens when you make a mistake? Let's imagine you're in a coffee shop in London. You walk up and say, "Hello, I want, a cappuccino, please." You forget how to say medium, you say middle size instead. Does the barista scream at you? Do other customers laugh at you? Definitely not. Most likely, the barista will understand, smile, and say, "You mean medium? Got it." And you move on. In fact, many native speakers admire people who are learning English. They know how hard it is, and they respect your effort. So don't let imaginary fear stop you from real conversations. The power of changing your mindset. Here's a simple mindset shift. Don't aim to speak perfectly. Aim to communicate clearly. Communication is not about using fancy grammar. It's about being understood. And you don't need perfect English to do that. You just need bravery, curiosity, and a willingness to try. Remember, native siyawi and sabay. Native speakers don't care if your English is perfect, but they do care if you're willing to connect. Practical ways to beat fear and build confidence. Now let's talk about some easy ways to overcome this fear. Speak early, speak often. Don't wait until your English is good enough. Start speaking now, even if you only know 50 words. The more you speak, the more confident you become. Just like riding a bike, the first few times you fall. But then it becomes natural. Use safe practice spaces. Start in places where you feel comfortable. Practice with a friend who's also learning. Talk to yourself at home. Join an online group for English learners. The key is to make mistakes where it feels safe and then grow from there. Celebrate every effort. Every time you say something in English, even one sentence, celebrate that. You just took a risk. You stepped outside your comfort zone. That's something to be proud of. Reflect, don't regret. If you say something wrong, don't repeat it over and over in your head. Instead, ask yourself, what did I want to say? Look it up. Learn it. Try again next time. That's real growth. Smile and keep going. Sometimes you'll say funny things. Sometimes people will laugh. Laugh with them. Don't take yourself too seriously. Language learning should be fun. The more relaxed you are, the easier it is to learn. Final thought. Confidence is built, not given. You're not born confident. Confidence comes from doing things even when you're afraid. Every time you speak, even with mistakes, you're training your brain to be stronger. You're saying, I can do this. So today, I want you to do one thing. Say something in English, out loud, that you've never said before. Make a mistake, smile, try again. That's how fluency is built. One brave sentence at a time. In our next episode, we'll explore one of my favorite speaking techniques. It's called shadowing, and it's like a vocal workout for your English. If you've ever wished your English sounded more natural, this one's for you. Until then, keep speaking, keep learning, and never fear your mistakes. They're your best teachers. In our last episode, we talked about something that stops many learners from speaking: the fear of making mistakes. We learned that mistakes are not failures. They are steps forward. And we agreed on one thing. The only way to speak better is to speak more. But how? How can we practice speaking, especially if we don't live in an English-speaking country or don't have a speaking partner? Well, today I'll share with you one of my favorite techniques for building speaking fluency. It's simple, it's fun, and it really works. It's called shadowing. What is shadowing? Imagine this. You're listening to an English podcast or a movie. You hear a native speaker talking, and you repeat what they say. At the same time, or just a moment after, you match their voice, their speed, their rhythm, just like a shadow that follows them. That's the idea of shadowing. You shadow a speaker, trying to copy their pronunciation, intonation, and speech flow as closely as possible. It's like karaoke, but for real conversations. Why is shadowing so effective? Shadowing is powerful because it combines listening and speaking at the same time. When you do shadowing, you're training your mouth to move like a native speaker, your ear to hear natural English patterns, your brain to connect sounds with meaning faster. And the best part? You don't need a teacher. You just need your ears and your voice. What shadowing improves? Here's what you'll improve when you practice shadowing regularly: pronunciation. You'll start to say words the way native speakers do, not just reading them from a textbook. Intonation and rhythm. You'll sound more natural, not robotic. You'll learn how sentences rise and fall in real conversation. Speaking speed. You'll speak more fluently, with fewer pauses and hesitations. Listening comprehension. You'll understand real spoken English more easily, especially fast speech. Confidence. The more you shadow, the more natural it feels to speak out loud, even alone. How to start shadowing, step by step. Now, let me show you how to do shadowing even as a B1 learner. Step 1. Choose the right audio pick, something that matches your level, or just a little higher. Here are some great options. Podcast episodes with transcripts, like this one. YouTube videos with English subtitles. Short movie scenes, TED Talks, or interviews. Keep it short. Start with 30 seconds to 1 minute. Step 2, listen first. Before you shadow, just listen. Try to understand the meaning, the tone, the speaker's emotion. If possible, read the transcript or subtitles as you listen. This helps your brain connect sounds to words. Step 3, shadow out loud. Now, play the audio again and speak with the speaker. Try to match their pronunciation, their speed, their intonation, the music of their voice. You don't need to be perfect. Just do your best to follow the flow. You can pause and replay if needed. It's okay to slow down at first. You're learning a new skill. Step 4, repeat and record yourself. Repeat the same clip 3 to 5 times. Then, try something powerful. Record yourself doing the shadowing. Then, listen back. Yes. It can feel strange to hear your own voice, but it helps you notice what's working and what needs improvement. Pro tips for shadowing success. Here are some bonus tips to make your shadowing practice even better. Use headphones for better sound clarity. Stand or sit up straight. It helps your breathing. Use facial movement. Exaggerate sounds at first to get your mouth used to new positions. Smile while speaking. It actually helps your voice sound clearer and more friendly. And most importantly, have fun with it. Shadowing shouldn't feel like homework. It should feel like singing along with your favorite language. Start with these simple phrases. If you're not sure where to begin, here are some everyday phrases to shadow. Hi, how are you doing today? I'm not sure. Let me think. That's a great idea. What time does it start? Practice them until they roll off your tongue, naturally and easily. Final thought. Shadowing is speaking practice. Anytime, anywhere. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to practice speaking. With shadowing, you can turn any moment into a speaking session. On the bus, shadow a podcast, cooking dinner, shadow a TED Talk, going for a walk, shadow a movie scene. Bit by bit, your English voice becomes clearer, stronger, and more confident. So don't just listen, speak along. Be the echo, be the shadow. And soon, you won't need to copy anyone, because your English voice will become truly your own. Podcast script, episode title, Practice Smart, daily phrases, and voice recording. So far in our speaking journey, we've covered a lot. We talked about the gap between understanding and speaking. We explored how to think in English instead of translating. We faced the fear of mistakes and learned to speak anyway. And we practiced shadowing, one of the best techniques to sound more natural. Now, in this final part of our series, we're going to focus on 2 simple but powerful tools: Practicing everyday phrases. Recording your own voice. If you make these part of your daily routine, your speaking skills will improve faster than you think. Let's dive in. Why simple phrases are powerful. Many learners think they need to learn complicated grammar or long vocabulary lists to speak well. But actually, most real-life conversations are built from simple, repeated phrases, what we call functional language. Here are a few examples. How was your day? Could you say that again? I'm not sure, but I think that makes sense. These aren't fancy, but they're real, and they're used all the time. When you master these kinds of expressions, you respond faster in conversations, sound more confident and fluent, reduce the need to build sentences from scratch. Think of these phrases like tools in your pocket. The more you carry them with you, the easier it is to jump into any conversation. How to practice. Everyday phrases. Effectively. Here's a simple routine. Choose 5 phrases per week. Pick useful expressions for daily life. You can Google daily English phrases or use apps. Say them out loud many times, don't just read. Speak. Repetition builds muscle memory. Put them into real situations. Use them in your thoughts, in speaking practice, or even while talking to yourself. What time is it? Let me check. I'll be there soon. Combine them with shadowing short dialogues that include these phrases. That way, you hear them in context and not just alone. Why recording yourself changes everything. Let's talk about the second tool, recording your voice. Yes, I know it sounds awkward. No one likes hearing their own voice at first. But if you want to improve, this is one of the best things you can do. What happens when you record yourself? You hear your pronunciation clearly. You notice words or sounds you're missing. You develop more self-awareness and control. You start to track your progress over time. It's like having a personal language coach. And that coach is you. How to start voice recording. You don't need special equipment. Just use your phone's voice memo app. Here are 3 easy exercises. 1. Record a daily journal. Each day, talk about what you did, how you feel, what your plans are. Keep it short, just 1 or 2 minutes. You're building a habit. 2. Read aloud. Choose a short paragraph from a story, article, or dialogue. Focus on pronunciation speed, intonation. Then compare it with a native speaker recording if possible. 3. Imitate and express. Listen to someone say something, maybe from a movie or podcast, then pause. And try to say it again in your own voice. This helps with both intonation and emotional tone. Reflect and repeat. After recording, listen back. Don't judge yourself, just ask, did I say that clearly? Where did I pause too long? What can I improve next time? Then try again. You'll notice small improvements every time, and after a few weeks, you'll be amazed at your progress. Final thought. Speak a little. Every day. You don't need to study 4 hours a day. Just 10 minutes of smart practice. Speaking out loud, using real phrases, and recording your progress will help you grow more than hours of silent study. Remember, real fluency comes from using English, not just knowing English. You don't need perfect grammar to speak. You just need practice, patience, and positivity. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Postcard English Stories. I hope today's tips inspire you to start practicing out loud and make your voice part of your English learning journey. Whether you're walking in the park, sitting at your desk, or cooking dinner, speak a little English every day. Record your voice. Repeat real phrases. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're not just learning English, you're becoming a speaker. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more practical tips on speaking real English, and share this podcast with a friend who's also learning. Until next time, keep talking, keep smiling, and keep growing with Postcard English Stories.